Battery exhausted, she says. I'm fucking exhausted. Whoa, I've just turned the cameras on and I realised I haven't done my hair. I'm a 44-year-old man, so clearly I don't give a toss. It's episode 2 of the Micro Kessel, the guitar that we know nothing about. Hopefully you've YouTubed it and Googled it and gone mental down rabbit holes. I hope not on the dark web, and you found out a little bit more. You probably know more about this than I do now, but that's fine. I'm used to that. Today we're going to be working, just a little recap. This is where we are. We've got a body blank. I've drawn some rough shapes to get us sharp and close to the original. This is what we're looking like. We're all hollowed out. We're relatively light. We're not that light. It's a very heavy guitar. It's a big old beast, but I've got some carving to do, so I think we're fine with that. But shape-wise, by the time I sharpen up my horns, we're going to get pretty close. I'm happy. Leaving that as it is for today. This is a bit of a one-off video in a sense of, I was going to say in a sense of I don't know what I'm doing, but that's not a one-off, is it? Here's me neck blank. You've seen me make these. You watched it in episode 1. Tend to make blanks in every episode 1, don't I? I need to mix it up.
This is boring. I'm bored now.
I'm going to make the neck in the way I've made the last 4 or 5 necks, but it's going to be the last time I do some of the stages like that. I thought I was being all clever and making a jig for the table saw, for the big Laguna, which is, it works, it does work. It's better than the first jig I made. I love making a jig. I'll just get off on it. You know, I can't finish myself off without a jig being involved, if I'm honest. I'm going to use the jig that I made, and then after that, I'm going to take it apart. The reason it's funny, the reason I'm doing that is because a subscriber said in a comment, nonchalantly, why don't you cut these things on the chop saw? And the Makita chop saw I've got, which is a staple in the building industry, is mustard. But I ran a kitchen fitting and second fix carpentry business for 20 years. My chop saw had to be battery exhausted, she said. I'm fucking exhausted. Right, back after the technical difficulties. Right, so I've got my templatus. Here she is. You've seen me do this before. I've marked where the nut is on my blank, so I know where the angle starts on my headstock, and I've even drawn it out on the side there. So this whole first section of the video is how to get that top cut perfect without the need of hand tools and planers, which I know are beautiful, but it's not my wheelhouse. I prefer electricity based items. We've got to figure that out, and I'm going to set a jig up on the table saw and I'll bring you in for a bit of communal loving, and you'll see what I made. It might not make a lot of sense, but it's actually a very simple jig. I'll show you. Hang on, I'm going to cut cameras again and I'll see you over here on Le Table. Right, forgive the dodgy audio. I'm back on my old mics. My new mics were shite, hated them. So this is my new jig. It's pretty awesome. You can kind of see what it looks like. It slides up and down, and I've basically notched the shape of my guide rail on my saw. And it's all very rigid, and it basically slides up and down. It's a little bit clunky, but it works quite nicely. I've got a mark on here, and all I've got to do is clamp my neck onto the jig at that point, and then when I run it through and I've got a mark on the other side, it will cut this top mark off. You've got to take the riving knife off and the blade will cut into the jig a little bit. Don't shit your pants, everything's fine. And then we've just got to take everything off, clip it on the other side and whip it through that way. I'll show you. I'm going to set little Dave up so he's got a pointy on camera. Ready for this? Oh, it's a camera filming a camera, filming a camera. Fucking that's a bit mental, isn't it? Oh, look at that for a view. There's only one view better than that, and I'm not getting my bollocks out on camera. Or will I? Stop it, Paul, stop it. They haven't made an appearance for a while. Cut it very nicely. We've got an angle. Everything's lovely and smooth. A little bit of a sand, whatever. You can see by the piece I cut off that you basically do one side, then you start one side short, get rid of a wedge, And then you can move it and just keep nudging it forward until you're dead and in line within a gnat's codpiece. That's all you got to do. It's clunky, but it works. Saves doing it on the bandsaw and hand planing it. It depends what your forte is. I mean, this wenge and everything, your hand planes have to be absolutely impeccable. Mine never are. They're bloody ornaments, aren't they? Now, next stage. This is an interesting one. Do you want to see? Oh, incidentally, that's the last and only time you'll see that jig, because I've basically bought the biggest chop saw imaginable from Bosch, and it does 120 mil. So I'll be able to just put a neck blank in the chop saw, boo, and cut it all in one in about 3 seconds. Way better. Don't know why I didn't think of that sooner. Probably because of the £900 investment in the saw. But I got a bit of a deal. And it also means I don't have to do angled neck pockets anymore. Some people do angled neck pockets, some people do angled necks. It's up to you what way you do it. It's 2 or 3 degrees. It's not really noticeable whatever way you do. No one would ever know. I'm going to angle my necks because I find it a lot easier. I don't have to reduce the depth of this neck as I'm making it. Much simpler. I can just clamp it into the saw and just literally cut the heel. Much simpler. So that is arriving this week. Oh, new tool day.
It's nice.
I might do a little Instagram reel because, no I won't. I'm 44. I don't do Instagram reels. Twat. Oh, carved top next week. Never done a carved top. Yeah, looking forward to that. Still haven't decided how I'm going to do it, but it will involve power tools. Of course it will. So I've got my neck blank. We're sorted there. I've got a fretboard. Lovely. The only accurate cut on this fretboard is the nut at the minute. That is, I know that's got to run up on my centre line. I know where the end of my fretboard is. The only difference being we're going to have overhang. So I've got to mark that last fret because I'm going to have overhang and a truss rod because that's how I do it. Woo! Spoke wheel. That's simple. Let's get a truss rod. I've got a feeling I can't use a long boy because it ends up going under the nut. Or can I? I could. It'll just protrude a little bit so I can change my tenon and have less overhang. Make it up as you go along, folks. You can get shorter truss rods and it will basically fall just under the first fret. It'll be fine. That's the second fret, Paul. Wake up. That's also fine. It doesn't really matter, but that's what I've got. So I'm going to cut my tenon on the bottom of my neck. It doesn't need to be very deep. I've cut these 2 deep before. That wheel only sticks out, what, 3 mil? 3 mil above the truss rod. Plenty in the tank. And in fact, if you really want to be technical, you can lay the bastard on. That's probably the easiest thing to do. And we'll just mark, what, a millimetre or so below that truss rod. 18 mil. So that's where my tenon's going to be. Technical as fuck, I know. Proper technical. We'll mark the new line. There you go. I'm going to chop that out on the chop saw. So basically, I don't want... This has to finish short of the nut. So it's right at the end. It's going to be a perfect fit. Oh, perfect. Let's do a speedy up on the choppy, shall we? Before she gets replaced. Shh. I'm going to extend my bench at the back of the workshop so I can have a dedicated fret slotting saw. That is a banger of an upgrade. I'm chuffed. Anyway, speedy uppy. Right, now I'm at that stage. We've got to get on with just cutting the truss rod in so I can get all this little lot glued up and leave it overnight and fuck it off and come back and cut some frets in tomorrow. It's a piece of piss, isn't it? No, it's not a piece of piss ball, and that's why it often goes wrong. But this bit doesn't because we've got a lovely, repeatable jig. Such a simple little box to make. So I basically centre up my blank in here. We'd knock him back in, tighten him up. On goes my top. I'm going to make sure that I am centred. Handsome. Right, I'm happy with how that's centred. I'll go over and we're just going to route our truss rod in. Slowly, because I'm routing it into wenge. Which, like me, is hard as fuck. I just realised I did a little bit without you, didn't I? So, we've done speedy uppies. We've got truss rods cut in. Oh, bear in mind that the end of your truss rod is a little bit bulbous. So when you cut a slot, You have to just manually manipulate, take a millimetre out the bottom of that channel, just so that he sits in the chutney channel. Lovely. In the wenge, everything is dead flush, perfectly sat on the end, just shy of the nut. That is miraculously wonderful. That now fits wonderfully there. You can see how that overhang is going to work. Oh, it's just dirty. Dirty burgers, isn't it? I love a dirty burger, don't you? Especially when she's been for a walk. Musk. Anyway, whoa, that lowered the tone, didn't it? A little bit just came out. It's a good job you can't see underneath this bench. So now we need to get this glued on, clamped up, and I can fuck it off until tomorrow. That's simple.
One eternity later.
So, interesting revelations. I'm trying out my inlay technique. And because when you cut it out with a laser, you lose a bit of material, I think what I need to do is fucking try a different way, because that's shit. When I stuck it in, because the pieces are smaller than the holes, they haven't glued in perfectly aligned. I filled up, and obviously this is not a dark fretboard, so I can't get away with murder. And I'm not happy with that. There's a couple of these that look a bit wonky. So what I'm going to do, just as a learning curve, I'm going to minge fudge up this board to see how dark it goes, because I'm going to cut this off anyway. So I'll fudge it up and we'll just see what it looks like, because we're going to cut it all away anyway. Get the fudge on. I'm not happy with that. I'm really not. I mean, that's just with a little touch of the fudge. And you can just see these. I mean, if I had brown CA glue, maybe a better colour match. It doesn't look piss poor, but it could be better. So I've got an interesting idea. Here's a neck that I've been experimenting on in the background. And what I've been doing as a little touch and something just to give something a little bit more interest, I've been basically figuring out laminating fretboards. 2 fretboards, a couple of mil, 3 mil thick maximum, laminated on top of each other. Looks the same from the top, but from the edge, because what I want to do in future builds is that bottom lamination, I want that in maple. So instead of binding a fretboard, I want like a coloured stripe up there that just looks fucking awesome. It's just a little dimension. Because I've been doing that, and it works very well, I'm going to do that with this one. This fretboard is quite a light timber. You can see even with the fudge, it only goes a little bit brown. I want to put something much darker on the top, like this fucking awesome ebony that I get from Stu Mac. It's lovely. I forget what it's called. It's got a name that ends in ebony. I'll research that. I've got some more downstairs. I'm going to sand this off, get this down quite thin, because I've got quite a long way until I get to my truss rod. Just before I touch that one, which will leave me about 2.5 mil. I've done the calculations. And I'm going to laminate it with another fretboard. It's not going to matter so much on this one because I'm going to bind the neck, but so no one would ever know. But I'm not happy with those inlays. I don't want to send that out to anyone unless inlays are a bit of a twat. I thought I was onto something, but that needs more work. And every time you've got to practice with it, you've got to bung in 20 grams worth of fretboards to figure it all out. So I'm going to do that in my own time, and we'll come back. We'll come back when this is ready with another bit on top. And we're ready to be radiusing, because that's the bit we all want to see, innit? No, he says no. Mung beans. Right, so next job. We've got to get this neck roughed out, cut out, shaped, and get all the rest of it done so that we can move on and get some frets in before I go home today. I like to put my frets in at the end of the day. Most of you probably know that. So we've got some things we have to consider. First thing I need to think about. I have moved the mark from my nut round to the bottom of this blank. Everything has to be wonderfully central now. So I've got my nut mark there, and I can mark the centre of my headstock. So I'm going to screw this one down. You have to be careful where you're going to be putting your screws. Ask me how I fucking know. Ah, where's your drill, Paul? Where's your drill? Got some new fingers to play with. Woohoo! Honestly, what a child. I know, what a child. So I'm basically going to get a screw in this part of my headstock because I know I'm going to be cutting all that bit of wood away. So that is going to be fine there. But the first one I'm going to do, because it's right on the end, is in the heel. Because again, that's going to be glued into the body. Not going to matter a fuck. Check out this comment from Belendosaurus. I'll have to live with that one. Right, now I've done that, that's easy. I'm actually going to take this back off. No, I'm not. Yeah, I am. So we're going to draw around it. I'm all over the fucking shop, aren't I? I'm going to draw around this now. Whipping back off. Handsome. I'm going to go and bandsaw that. I've made some alterations to the workshop. Would you like a peek? So you see over here, I've now got a dedicated fret slotting saw. Got to change the blade for the last time. Remember to subscribe, you slag. Don't know where that came from. I just built it. So this is now the dedicated fret slotting area. And do you know why? Someone said to me, slow down. Someone said to me, why are you building jigs for the table saw? Why don't you, for cutting headstock angles, when you could just use chop saw? And I said, my chop saw's not big enough, mate. And then I thought, I could just buy a big one. And I fucking have. Oh, so now I've got Bosch's biggest monster. Massive deal, phenomenal deal. Almost half price from Bosch because it had a damaged box. Figure that out. This thing does 120mm depth, which means I can make a little jig that's going to clamp on here, and I can put my necks in, and I can cut my headstock angle to 7 degrees in one cut. Fucking easy. Whoever suggested that, you might have been being a facetious twat, I don't know. But thank you, because I acted upon it. And that is saw porn. That's a genre of porn I never thought I'd be advertising. Moving on to the next stage. There we are, all tidied up. It's all looking, it's a shame really. I am going to bind this neck. It does need binding. I've got this like quite vintagey, off-coloured, nice Stumac stuff. Whatever they had at the time. Looks nice. Bit different to cream. You can see the edge here. It's a shame I'm going to bind this because you can see that the different colours going on in there. So I'm going to take this over onto BTK now and I'm going to cut a binding channel. Ideally, you cut the binding before you round your fretboard, but I don't give a flying fuck, do I? Don't really matter. That's what BTK's for. Guitars and Wood's most overpriced piece of shit jig that they actually do, but come and have a little look. Now this thing's actually designed to raise up and down as you go over contoured bodies for doing carves and things, but it's quite handy for this as well. And there's a little donut under there. I've got my little bit in and we're just going to put a channel in. What we call in the trade, a chutney channel. Fix bayonets. Now, I've got to just manually sand out these little horns or chisel them out because obviously I've got a cut out there. My bearing would have gone around there. We would have fucked it all up. It all would have died a death. So be very careful. Just proves I'm starting to think a little bit. I learn by my mistakes, and you can imagine I've made quite a few. Just get rid of the worst, and then I'm just going to use my little cheeky file. And we're bang on. Happy with that. Little teaser. Just teased him out. Same on the other side. And we can think about some fret slots. Lovely. She's had a cheeky nibble. That's ready for a bit of binding now. You can run your file down there. Just make sure it's lovely and pucker. A little bit of teasiness on the grain there. This rosewood's got a very, very prominent grain. That was very serious, wasn't it? Sorry, I apologise. Let's just flash through a few chops of the saw and then just enough for you to finish yourselves off. Haha! Didn't press record, did I? Yo, let's have a fake montage. Zzz, zzz. Idiot. Right, now I'm at that point, it's all nice and simple. I have given it a little bit of a cheeky sand just to make sure my grooves are all looking a little bit swanky. Here's me binding, everything fits rather pleasantly. So I'm gonna get it bound now. A lot of people use acetone. I'm a bit of a, I just like to speed through it really. So I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna CA glue it on. Never had an issue doing it like that in the past and it is instant, which I like. So I can move on with this neck today. The goal is going to be to get the frets cut, underfiled and all that pressed in, left for tomorrow, ready for a fret job. Right, executive decision. I'm making an executive decision. We're bound up now, look, everything's pretty crispy. You can see it just all starts looking classy, doesn't it? I've got a centre line down here. I'm going to go with white dots because they're quite a nice sort of subdued cream. And I think it's just going to look a little bit classy. This guitar is all about the top. And obviously I want to get a nice inlay in the headstock as well. So I'm going to put my centre dots in. These are, they're 6mm. Standard size. I'm going to go for black dots in the top here, so nice and visible. It's very traditional, very classy. I like that look. And yeah, and I'm going to let the rosewood speak for itself because it's fucking gorgeous. I love it. Really like that. That was a last minute decision, and actually I've got loads of it, and I just think that looks really, really cool. Very, very cool. Thank you, Stu Mac. Another nice bit of wood. Send me some free stuff, you tight bastards. Right, anyway, shall I speed through? Oh, let's talk about it. Shall we talk about it? You want to know? Yeah, we're going to put dots in. That's all I'm going to do. I'm going to drill some 6mm holes. I'm going to glue these in with super glue. I'm going to file it flat, and then yet again, I'm going to put it in the sanding block, and we're going to get all sanded up. Well, that's the conclusion to the video. I'm not going to go through fret leveling and recrowning and all that bollocks. I will sort this out tomorrow because I like to glue frets in and leave them for the day. And I've got loads of other stuff to do. That's why it's never conducive to build one guitar at a time for me. I'm actually building 6 at the minute, which is something I said I would never do. Fucking mind boggles. Yeah, that is looking pretty spanking. Incidentally, that is dead parallel, dead flat bit of wood. You've seen me make it all the way through. We've checked it all the way. I don't know who we is. I have checked it all the way through. I've pressed in high quality Stu Mac cryo wire frets. And even with Jescar frets, which are my favourites, when you press them in, they're pressed in with the same pressure, they are tapped in, everything's lovely. You still get some cheeky rockers. Occasionally you'll get a really bad one. And primarily, I think, it's down to just imperfections in the way that fret wire is extruded. It's not a perfect process. And when you're just trying to get things just so, in factories, when guitars are made for 300 quid, they don't get level recrown and polish. They get pressed in by a machine, pressed in, or whatever technique, they're pressed in. And it's even if the fretboard's perfect and the cutting's lovely, you're still down to the perfection of the wire itself, which is why if you want a perfect guitar, you have to do a level, recrown, polish, and all that sort of stuff. But that's interesting, isn't it? I'll see you next time. This is all looking rather spanking. Am I filming? I am filming. Professional, hands on hips, special wave. I'll see you next week. What are we doing next week? Do you want to? Next week is carving week, all right? Because I lost the footage on the red spesh, not a red spesh. So next week we are carving this top. Lovely. Never done that before. So I will do half an episode on carving that top. It's going to be speedy uppy central next week with a bit of in-between waffle. And then I will also carve the neck with the router bits and all that sort of stuff. So you see what the fucking crack is. And also hopefully we'll get the neck cut into the body. That's the plan. That's next week. It's carving week next week. Woo! Fucking bring it on. See you later on, everyone. This vigorous wave.
What?
What is your name?
Tony!
Fuck you, Tony!
What's your name?
Ezekiel!
Fuck you, Ezekiel!
Fuck you!
Fuck you!
Hey, you know what I did last night?
You better not bring my mother into this!
You know what I did?
You better not!
I put that fly over there.
Oh!
And I found you on
next to it. Fuck you, Ezekiel! Fuck you!